straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from ball.
Hi, welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Now, the India-England cricket series set to start this week is gaining a lot of momentum. There is much chatter off the pitch. We brought you some of that with Monty Panesar's jibe, and then of course the coaches and players have tried landing some punches, with England saying they know how to bring Bazball alive here, and India saying that just means more wickets for the hosts. But the trash talking for any series involving India is incomplete without Vaughan weighing in his thoughts to rile fans and commentators from the opposite camp. And predictably, Vaughan is at it here as well. Speaking of predictability, Saudi Arabia and the Sheikh are continuing their quest into owning sporting ventures and crossing over to Australia. Who can stop Novak Djokovic in his quest of the magical number 25? All of that is lined up for you on the show tonight. But first, a look at the headlines from around the world in Sports 360. The pool for the men's hockey in the upcoming Paris Olympics have been announced. Team India have been placed in Pool B alongside defending champions Belgium, world number 5 Australia and world number 7 Argentina. New Zealand and Ireland are the other two teams that are part of Pool B. Over in tennis, former world number 1 Rafael Nadal has announced a comeback. He will return to tennis next month at an ATP 250 event in Doha, which begins on the 19th of February. Nadal's name was on the entry list of the tournament. He returned to the court after a year-long hiatus owing to injury at the Brisbane International, but was sidelined once more owing to a muscle tear that he sustained during the tournament. Cricket Australia is conducting an investigation into an incident involving Glenn Maxwell. The Australian cricketer was hospitalised, in fact, over the weekend. Maxwell was taken to the hospital from a pub in Sydney. He was reportedly attending a concert where the band Six and Out was performing. The band, of course, is co-founded by Brett Lee. And an Australian Open match was briefly interrupted yesterday. Alexander Zverev and Cameron Norrie were playing their fourth round when a pro-Palestine protester threw leaflets on the court. The drama escalated when two other spectators took the matter into their own hands and tried to stop the protester. After winning the game, of course, the match, Zverev said the response by security staff should have been a little swifter. And of course, the latest from AFC Asian Cup, India loses its third and final encounter in its group 0-1 to Syria. India had lost its previous two group stage matches, the opener against Australia, where they fell short, and of course, later against Uzbekistan, who beat the Blue Tigers 3-0. With this, of course, all hopes of going through to the next round is crashed. Now, the India versus England cricket series is gathering momentum. There are constant updates that are coming in from both camps. First, we had the news that Harry Brook was going back home and giving the series a skip. Then came the news of Virat Kohli sitting out of the first two tests owing to personal reasons. Now, there are visa delays for England's Shoaib Bashir. He will take more time to join the England squad. But of course, the mind games have started, as we've been saying. Monty Panesar kick-started proceedings by giving his advice on how England should sledge the Indian team, calling them chokers. But until former England cricketer and commentator Vaughan weighs in on this, can the mind games truly be underway? Everyone was waiting for his controversial remarks to kickstart and come in, and they have. He has warned India from preparing rank turners for the series.
I think it would be a big mistake if pitches spin hugely from ball 1 of the series. Spinning pitches bring Jack Leach and the young spinners England have selected into the game. Is Leach a better spinner than Jadeja? No. But if you give him a turning pitch and England bat first, he will be right in the game.
Now, I'm glad he doesn't call Jack Leach a better bowler than Ravindra Jadeja, but he goes on to say that a spinning track will just simply get England in the game against India. Let's be honest, playing at home comes with advantages. You provide pitches that you're most confident and comfortable to play on, to defend your home turf. Playing in India always means you have to be able to tackle spin. It's a given. It's also true that sometimes these plans can backfire, like in Newlands just recently when India played South Africa at Cape Town. This was in the second test, which India managed to win to level the series. South Africa could not handle, nor could they quite grasp batting on that wicket themselves, and crumbled to a humbling loss. The last time India were done in by spin themselves at home is when they let England run away with the contest back in 2012. England managed to win a test series against India in India after a while, but that was a different time. England had a quality spin attack in Graeme Swann and Monty Panesar. So the responsibility of matching up to the Indian spin attack on offer lies solely on the shoulders of Jack Leach. India will look to field a three-pronged spin attack, so it would be veterans R. Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja, alongside one of Akshar Patel and Kuldeep Yadav. That is a tall order to tackle, especially when you're an English batter. Ashwin, in fact, is 14 wickets shy of Anil Kumble's record of most wickets in India. The big concern for India would be who can really fill Kohli's shoes. So who are the options then for the first two tests? Option number one has to be Rajat Patidar. He scored hundreds in both the tour match and the unofficial test against the England Lions. With an average of more than 45 in first-class cricket, Patidar is a decent number 4 bat. Option number two, it's a controversial one. Sarfaraz Khan. Fitness issues and lack of consistency have kept this explosive batter on the fringes for a while, but his performance recently in the tour match and the unofficial test against the England Lions could get him a call-up. Then, of course, there are two far-out left-field options. One probably more looking towards the future, Sai Sudarshan. He's been a great find and has risen up from his TNPL or Tamil Nadu Premier League performances to make it to the IPL, the Indian Premier League setup, and has gone through the ranks to put in some key performances for India in the India A setup. And finally, Cheteshwar Pujara. He's the top run getter at the ongoing Ranji Trophy tournament with more than 400 runs against his name. He's been in fine form, though it would be seen as a stopgap selection, a temporary fix till Kohli returns. Would BCCI head that way really? Even as Cheteshwar Pujara is putting up his hand to say he still has some steam or some cricket left in him. Either way, India definitely has a massive challenge when they face England, whether it's going to be spinning tracks or not. The challenge would be to bat sensibly, bringing the whole Bazball approach that England has employed under the scanner. Everyone is doubtful about Bazball being the right tactic in these conditions, except the man who propagated it. Brendon McCullum, in the lead-up to the first test, said, and I quote, "There will be many eyeballs watching around the world and it's a huge opportunity for us." How long the games go, I have no idea, but I'm sure both teams will stick to their respective styles. Throughout the Ashes, it was two heavyweights going at it with different styles, and I expect it to be the same in this series. Clearly, he has his plans in place and backing them to the hilt, but that doesn't seem to be bothering India at all. In fact, the leader of the pace attack and vice-captain Jasprit Bumrah said, and I quote, "I don't really relate to the term Bazball. As a bowler, what I think is that it keeps me in play, and if they are going for it, playing so fast, they won't tire me out. I could get heaps of wickets. Kudos to them, but as a bowler, you're in the game." And the gauntlet has been thrown from both ends. The mind games from off the field have translated to ones on it. However, Michael Vaughan continued his caustic remarks. Is any series really complete without his trademark controversial observations? He's sent out a warning to India to not take England too lightly, and he's predicted that the hosts will be in for a rude shock.
India must also beware that almost every team that has come up against England's new approach has been hit hard on day one. Look at New Zealand, Australia, and especially Pakistan. If India arrive thinking it will be the same as it usually is against England, they might be in for a big shock.
Now, this is a pivotal series as far as the race to the top for the ICC Test Championship is concerned. Whoever stamps their authority first up will have some momentum and a very, very key momentum, in fact, heading into the series. And it promises to be a long, enthralling one, this. Saudi Arabia is back at it again. Their sports resume is ever updating, comes as no major surprise, and now their crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, has a crush on motorsports, which he wants to pursue. Last year, it was reported that the Sovereign Wealth Fund tried to buy the Formula One series. It was supposed to be a landmark deal estimated at $20 billion, but the potential deal fell through because Liberty Media, the owners of F1, rejected it. Reports claim they are still interested though. The latest in their quest of motorsport acquisition, Saudi is set to sponsor 3 new electric motorsports series.
Saudi Arabia's foray into sports is continuing. Their crown prince is like a skillful hunter, taking aim at its prey, and none of them seems to be missing. After hosting the Dakar Rally recently, the country has landed yet another perfect shot. Its Public Investment Fund, or the PIF, is set to sponsor 3 electric motorsport series in a bid to expand motorsport prominency in the kingdom. Yesterday, it signed a multi-year partnership named Electric 360 with Formula E, Extreme E and E1 powerboating. And all these motorsports races will take place this year in 2024. Formula E is an international racing series. It features only high-end electric cars. Extreme E is another such racing event with electric SUVs. These are off-road races and take place in remote places around the world, such as the Saudi Arabian desert. Meanwhile, E1 powerboating is the world's first electric raceboat championship. Saudi Arabia's Jeddah will host the series debut from the 2nd to the 4th of February. The Saudi PIF has splurged tens of millions of dollars in these leagues. It owns about 50% of Extreme E and the new E1 series, and already has a 5% stake in Formula E. It's one more push of PIF into the world of sports, and for electric motorsports, it's fantastic to have them supporting all 3 championships. For the long-term sustainability of the championships, particularly the 2 smaller ones, it's very relevant. It's a push towards relying on more sustainable forms of energy, along with building influence in the domain of sports, of course. Saudi Arabia already hosts an array of racing events, like the Formula 1 Grand Prix and the 2-week-long Dakar Rally that we spoke about. Add to that, the PIF owns almost a 17% stake in the F1 franchise Aston Martin. It also invested in a $550 million sponsorship of McLaren Group in 2021. All these hint towards the strong enthusiasm that Saudi has towards motorsports. The latest racing event in Saudi is just 3 days later. It's a Formula E race named the Diriyah E Prix that starts on January 26th and ends on the 27th. Saudi's crown prince is a regular attendee of the gig. On paper, this venture is termed as a partnership and not an investment. Alejandro Agag, the owner of these 3 electric motorsports series, has close ties with MBS. It strengthened back in 2018 when Saudi hosted the first Formula E race. So, Saudi's main strategy to grow the sports business is simple. First engage and then invest.
Now, as the Australian Open final approaches, the question we had asked at the start of the tournament still stands. Can anyone really stop Novak Djokovic from winning a historic 25th Grand Slam title? There is one man who's making his way to that grand showdown this weekend, and that's Carlos Alcaraz. Will he be able to snatch the #1 crown from Novak Djokovic? But there are others like Daniil Medvedev and Yannick Sinner, of course, waiting in the wings. And over in the women's draw, can anyone really look past the fierce and confident young Coco Gauff? Apart from Aryna Sabalenka, whom she faces next, but Coco Gauff has been in ferocious form. Some exciting unknown faces as well in the draw are creating quite a stir. Could there be a brand new Australian Open winner this year?
As always, the first Grand Slam of the year is geared up to provide some exciting action. In its last phase, some of the top seeds are still alive as we head into the semi-finals of the Slam. And there are some new faces who've emerged as strong contenders. Novak Djokovic's march towards his 25th Grand Slam was put to test again by America's Taylor Fritz in the quarters. He put up a valiant fight before losing 6-7, 6-4, 2-6, 3-6. But there are roadblocks in his way, starting with Spaniard world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz, who will have to battle past Alexander Zverev in the quarterfinals. It's going to be world number 2 versus world number 6. After reaching the quarterfinals, Zverev joked that he was Miomir Kecmanovic's #1 fan and was cheering for him against Alcaraz. Unfortunately, Kecmanovic was destroyed by Alcaraz. Now the Spaniard could turn out to be Zverev's worst nightmare. Zverev, though, has had some success so far. He led Team Germany towards a victory at the United Cup. He had a fantastic season last year with 52 wins in 82 matches. Zverev leads the head-to-head against Alcaraz 4-3, and he conquered the Spain most recently at the Nitto ATP Finals 2023. The last time the two met at a Grand Slam, though, was at the US Open, where Alcaraz won in straight sets. For Alcaraz, the quarter-finals win is a part of a journey that culminates in him snatching the world #1 ranking from Djokovic. That will only be possible if Alcaraz wins the Australian Open. To understand this, we need to know how the point system works. Rankings are based on points claimed at each tournament, which expire every year. So players who have won a certain tournament or a slam will have to defend it. That's how the points remain. So Djokovic has to defend the 2,000 points that he won last year here. Meanwhile, Alcaraz, who skipped it last year due to an injury, has no points to defend at the Australian Open. So Alcaraz has got everything to win and nothing to lose. And others snapping hard at Novak's heels will be gritty players like Daniil Medvedev and Jannik Sinner, who can turn up the heat if required. In the women's draw, all eyes will be on 19-year-old sensation Coco Gauff. She surmounted Ukrainian world number 37 Marta Kostyuk in a match that lasted more than 3 hours to reach the semis. This is the first time that Gauff has made it so far at the Australian Open, but she may have competition in the other half from some little-known players. Who could possibly stop Coco Gauff or Aryna Sabalenka on a rampage? World number 50 Linda Noskova of the Czech Republic, and second, Diana Yastremska of Ukraine, who is ranked 93rd. In a major upset, Noskova beat number 1 Iga Swiatek. Yastremska, on the other hand, showed extraordinary skill when she beat two-time champion Victoria Azarenka 7-6, 6-4 in the 4th round. Then there's 12th-seeded Qinwen Zheng. The 21-year-old won the 2022 WTA Newcomer of the Year and has exceeded all expectations. One of these is sure to light up the final showdown at Melbourne Park. In the doubles draw, India's Rohan Bopanna, who is 43 years old, is just one win away from becoming the world #1. Bopanna and Mark Ebden will be fighting for a place in the semi-finals on Wednesday. The last Indian to reach the world #1 spot was Sania Mirza.
We've neared the end of the show. Time for Last Serve. Among sports fans the world over, none can quite match up to the passionate football fans. The AFCON, or the African Cup of Nations tournament, is underway, and Equatorial Guinea upset Ivory Coast in a shock win. Here's how fans of both the countries reacted after that game. Well, that wraps up First Sports here today. We'll of course see you again tomorrow with more fresh perspectives and stories from the world of sports. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.